Canada's home ownership rates are falling, and on today's video, we're going to talk about why that is. I also have a question to all of you watching. Do you currently own the property that you live in? I'd be very interested to know in the comments. Just put if you own, if you rent, or if you live with family. The 2021 census was just recently released by Statistics Canada, and it had a lot of very interesting information that I want to go over with you on today's video. Welcome back to the channel. My name is Tom Storey. I'm a real estate agent here in the city of Toronto, and I make educational videos about the Toronto real estate market, and sometimes we cover all of Canada. If you watch this video and you gain some information from it, all I ask from you is hit that like button. It helps other awesome people like you see this video. If you haven't joined our growing community already, just hit that subscribe button. I would be grateful. And last thing before we get into today's video is if you watch this and you want to learn more about the Toronto market, in the first link in the description, you can book a call with me. You can book a buyer call, a seller call, or a discovery call to chat about the market. There is certainly no shortage of real estate news or headlines these days. I don't have to be the one to tell you that. You probably already know that. And there's also no shortage of them being negative. In fact, I'd say 95% of these headlines are negative because young couple buys house and is happy with purchase isn't a headline anybody is going to click on. So when I saw that the 2021 census came out, I was like, okay, this information is going to be very interesting. And then it followed up by literally later that day, CTV calling me and saying, hey, do you want to come and talk about this? And that's when I knew there was probably going to be something in this that was worth making a video on. So let's jump right into the article and review what they are talking about. Okay, so Canada's home ownership rate is on the decline, with young adults in particular less likely to own a home in 2021 than they were in 2011. Okay, so they're saying in the last decade, your chance of owning a home is actually lower, says Statistics Canada. According to the latest census release, 2/3 of Canadians owned a home in 2021. So 66% of the population of Canadians owned a home, down from the peak of 69% a decade earlier. Okay, so let's talk about that for a second. 2/3 of Canadians own the property that they live in. That number is pretty good. And even though the decline is down 3%, I think what we're trying to figure out here is like, well, why do 3% less people own their home versus a decade ago? And without having these numbers directly in front of me, I think it's pretty simple math for the most part. For most communities across Canada, most provinces, most cities, the rate in which real estate prices have increased has not been at the same rate in which incomes have increased. So that alone kind of doesn't really surprise me that it's down about 3%. Something interesting as well is there's a lot of data out there that says about 1/3 of Canadians own their home outright. A lot of them are in the boomer generation. And now we hear that 66% of all Canadians own a property. So, okay, 1/3 owns the property with no mortgage. Another third of Canadians own the property with a mortgage. And then the last third of Canadians are either renting or living with their family. A few other things from this article I thought were very interesting were this. The decline in home ownership rates between 2011 and 2021 was the largest for younger Canadians, with the rates falling from 36.5% from 44.1% for those between the ages of 25 and 29. Now, I can tell you my theory on this one. There is certainly nothing scientific behind what I'm about to tell you, but I am 31 years old. I just had a child. Most of my friends are getting married now in their early 30s and having kids into their mid 30s, where I think generations before us, that was happening in their early 20s. So that home ownership dream for people is a little bit further down the road. I'll also say for someone that lives in a big city, what I noticed living in Toronto is that a lot of my friends waited a little bit to do these things in life, and they're just buying homes now as well. Or I have lots of friends I went to university with that live in smaller communities, and they already have 2 or 3 kids and have owned a house for longer. So I don't know if this is just a generational thing, the people between 25 and 29 years old, because they would typically be millennials anyways. That could be a part of it. Also, in the last 2 years of the pandemic, and again, this is 10 years of data, so I don't know how much this would actually play into it, but the pandemic changed a lot of people's thinking, where they didn't just go with status quo. It's not just like, okay, this is the life I was told I'm supposed to live. I'm going to buy a house, settle down. Some people said, screw it. I'm moving across the country. I'm moving somewhere else. I'm going to start a job remotely. I'm finding somebody else out there that I'm in a relationship with. And they've totally kind of changed their lifestyle because of what happened in the last 2 years. And maybe owning that house wasn't necessarily top of mind for them anymore. One more thing that they said in the article was this, that Canadians between the ages of 30 and 34 experience a similar but slightly smaller decline in homeownership, falling to 52.3% from 59.2%. So that's interesting. People 30 to 34 years old, over half of them in Canada own a property where 10 years ago it was 59%. They also talk about rental increases. So meanwhile, the rental rate increase, Statistics Canada says that the number of renter households grew at more than twice the rate of owner households between 2011 and 2021. I think it's pretty fair to say that a lot of people, the reason why that was because of lifestyle and because of the prices of real estate, because rates have been low for a pretty long time now, and a lot of people have been buying up real estate, which has pushed up prices. Now, the one that actually stood out the most to me was this. Statistics Canada also compared monthly shelter costs, so just what does it cost to live, of renters and homeowners, and found those costs rose faster for renters than homeowners in the latest census period. So the median monthly shelter cost of renters went up 17% between 2016 and 2021, outpacing inflation, as the consumer price index rose by 9.5%. So if you were a renter in the last 5 years, your cost of living, your shelter cost, has gone up faster than for people that own. They also actually said that housing affordability improved in 2021. I didn't see all the stats on how they came to that conclusion. That's kind of interesting to me, but it said that for most renters, 30% at least of their salary every single month is going into housing. My question for you is this: does any of this surprise you? Because when I'm looking at them saying, okay, home ownership rates are decreasing, it's 3%. Like, yeah, I get it's a decrease, not a big decrease, but I guess population-wise, that 3% is a lot of people that are now renting or maybe cashed out of a property that they owned previously. Thanks again for watching another video. I hope that you found this valuable. As always, if you have any questions, please put them in the comments below. My name's Tom Storey, and remember, home is where your story begins. If you like this video, please consider subscribing to the channel. You can learn more about the Storey Team at storeyteam.ca. We also have a weekly podcast called The Tom Storey Show, with new episodes each Sunday. If you'd like to book a call directly with Tom, you can do that via the first link in the description.